Okay, guys, so I'm sure you've all heard the news. Ian Garry is going to be fighting Shavkat Rakhmanov. And this is a super winnable fight for Ian Garry. I actually have this overwhelming feeling coming over me that Ian Garry is going to win a fight against Shavkat Rakhmanov via unanimous decision. Now, this is not an idea that I would, bet my life savings on, right? Absolutely not. But I definitely think that this is a winnable fight for Ian Garry. I definitely think that he has a really good chance in this fight. And I'm going to get into exactly how I think he's going to win. But before I do, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. It helps grow the channel. So first things first, I think one of the things that we need to look at, right? And we need to just commend Ian Garry here, is the fact that he said yes, right? And he said yes to this on like 6 weeks notice. Maybe I think probably even less than that, right? Like UFC 310 is 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Less than 4 weeks to prepare for arguably the scariest guy in the welterweight division. It's absolutely crazy. But the dude has some balls, let's be honest, right? The dude has he is no coward, right? Unlike Usman, who's like, maybe I'll say yeah. And by the way, I kind of get it with Usman, right? He's 2 losses in a row now. Or is that 3? 3 in a row, right? 2 to Leon, 1 to Hamzat. And he doesn't want to go in on short notice again, right? He wants to be fully prepared. I get it. He's 38 years old, former champ, in the conversation for the greatest welterweight of all time, for sure, right? It's clearly GSP, but a lot of people say he's a runner-up. So, I get that, right? Colby says no, of course, right? Nobody in the top 5 says no. Ian Garry says yes immediately, right? And so, first of all, I think we got to respect that. The other thing I wanted to just mention is, isn't Ian Garry becoming likable? I remember about a year ago, right? We were all crapping all over Ian Garry, his wife, everything that Layla Anali was doing, just all this stuff, right? But now it seems like he's distanced himself from her, within the fight game. Maybe they're still together, maybe they're not, I don't really know. But, in the last few fights, he's become very likable. It's not necessarily about, the antics or, the stuff that he was doing to, Jeff Neal and Neil Magny and all these guys, right? It's more about, my destiny is to become the greatest fighter I've ever been. This is my dream. This is my honor. This is my... And that's what I'm seeing out of him. And it's he's flipping the script. You know what I mean? But anyway, I digress. That's neither here nor there. Okay, so Shavkat Rakhmanov, undefeated, finisher, absolutely probably the most dangerous guy in the division. And I would say that I'm about 60-40 in favor of Shavkat. But I don't think this is a landslide domination that the rest of you think it is, right? I absolutely think that if Ian Garry gets into a clinch or gets into any type of grappling exchange with Shavkat, he's in a lot of trouble, right? Shavkat has decent wrestling. He's got decent takedowns. He's good in the clinch, and he has submissions, right? So, and, even though we saw some decent grappling against him versus MVP, I don't think that's going to be enough. So with Ian Garry, really, his whole thing needs to be stick and move, right? Being able to use lots and lots of footwork, lots and lots of back and forth, changing angles, all these other type of things, just to make it really hard for there to be an entry, hard for there to be a shot, hard for him to get trapped up against the cage, right? Because I think if that happens, he's fucked, right? If that happens, the game is over. And I think I saw on the internet there that he got submitted twice sparring with Shavkat. There were a couple times where he got tapped, which that happens to everybody when they're sparring somebody who's a superior grappler. So, and even though he did look good at that, like I said, probably not enough. That being said, I don't think so the main thing is like he absolutely has to kind of stick and move, just lots and lots of footwork, lots and lots of back and forth, because his striking is great, right? If this is a stand-up war, certainly Shavkat has the power, but I think Ian Garry has speed on his side. And if he can use that speed and movement to kind of, because we saw, for the most part, Shavkat just walks forward, right? And in his fight against Jeff Neal, we saw that, in the pocket, Jeff Neal was getting the better of him, right? And so, he for the most part, it looks like he can be a stationary target at times. So if Ian Garry can, take advantage of that in the fact that, because I think Ian Garry is longer, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't really know. I didn't check that thoroughly. But I think Ian Garry has the longer reach as well. So if he can stay on the outside, do that sort of stick and move, really, not get trapped up against the cage, not get into a grappling exchange. Like, again, easier said than done, right? But if he can go into with that type of game plan, which I'm sure that's kind of already what he's thinking, I think this is a very winnable fight. Like, if it stays in the striking realm, I think he can definitely put up a really good fight. And I think he can. Like, I don't think he'd KO Shavkat, right? But I do think he'd win it. He could get the decision, right? I think he could win on volume. I think he could do well in the cardio aspect, although you don't really know, right? And I think he could certainly outpoint him, right? But I think if Shavkat can trap him against the cage and go into any type of grappling exchange, get it to the ground, like, Ian Garry is in a world of trouble. The other thing I think that is going for Ian Garry right now is activity, right? So one of the things that happened, right, last year when, and by the way, Shavkat hasn't fought in a year, right? Shavkat fought Wonderboy. He needed some surgery, I think, on his calves or his ankles or something like that. And, so he was out. And then there was Ramadan, and he hasn't booked a fight since. And then he was waiting around for that title shot against Bilal Muhammad. And so, like, he's been out. Ian Garry, this will be his third fight of the year, right? He fought back in February. Who did he fight? Did he fight Jeff Neal? Yeah, he fought Jeff Neal. He fought Michael Venom Page in June. And now he's fighting again, right, on short notice. So Ian Garry has been active. So, like, they do say ring rust is a big thing. Is a year enough for there to be ring rust? I don't really know, right? You never know, right? But, I definitely think that certainly plays into Ian Garry's favor. He's been doing a ton of work on his grappling. So if he can, if a clinch happens, if he can just make sure that clinch gets broken really quickly, and it doesn't end up in some sort of grappling exchange, because that'll be a problem, right? Like, if he goes for like a heel hook the way he did against Michael Venom Page, he's fucked. Like, Shavkat's gonna ground and pound him into cement, right, or into paste, as they say. He's gonna bounce his head off the canvas. But if he can keep it on the feet, very winnable, very winnable. Am I crazy?